Well, we've constantly been in large churches and small, and so when we moved here, we were past the point of just walking in the door on Sunday and walking back out. We needed a place that we could serve, and we were looking for a church that was real and a church that we could connect with, but that would also connect us to the community, because we were ready to put down roots. And having moved so many times, it's very important for us to get in our groove pretty quickly, if that makes sense. And so that's what that's what we found here, was just a church that was real, that was connected to the community, and so it in turn kind of gave us some roots to start with.
And I think the church is in a great place. If you look around Petal, you see the amount of churches are here. There's a lot of volume. There's a lot of churches here. But I don't think anybody's set up quite like Petal First Baptist is to be able to accommodate the growth that we foresee happening, to be able to accommodate the needs of the community like we do. Great location too, right off 42 here. I mean, when you look at other churches, it just seemed like Petal First Baptist is primed to grow and do well. And that's a good thing. I mean, it's something you obviously want to be a part of.
And it truly was God-driven, just to see the plans and the potential for growth, not just this building alone, but all the other things that were so meticulously thought out, and just the expansion is endless, for what we could do as a church. And I just think that shows a lot of thoughtfulness behind the members that came to be in this situation. And it wasn't just something that they spontaneously said, hey, we just need a new building. They really thought this out and thought about how this would impact the community. Well, for me, it's the personal connection, because I stay at home with my kids, so any outing for us is exciting. So to connect with people, it just brings more substance to my daily life. So.
Well, to me, I think the sky's the limit. When you really think about how some of the churches in Mississippi or in the southern states, how they grow and can grow quickly, I think Petal First Baptist is somewhat on the cusp of that. I mean, when you come here, you feel God's presence. You feel like, hey, God is working and doing things. And when you see and hear about some of the statistics just over the past year alone, with how many new members and what the giving has been like, I mean, those things are just incredible. And so if that continues to happen, I mean, I would foresee just a lot of really good, really neat things happening. I mean, here you've got an opportunity to not only get involved with a small group and be part of a group and connect with people, but also, I mean, we were talking about things that we're doing from completing the building standpoint and creating more space, but also there's going to be mission opportunities to go, to Haiti or, some of these other places, and adopting people groups. And so you can do things on a global, national scale too, right here out of Petal First Baptist. And so that's neat to be a part of. I think it's important, obviously. I mean, the Bible commands us to, God commands us to give. But, the biggest piece of that is that you get more than you give. I mean, sometimes, hey, you're working through the checkbook and thinking through, how you're going to do things and pay for stuff and all that. And, sometimes it's easy to say, well, hey, I'm going to take God's share out of it. But, what we found in our time together as a family is that when we give, we end up, those things happen. Bills get paid, things happen like they're supposed to. God blesses you for the gift. So, to me, that's the important part of the tithe, to make sure that you're following God's commandment when it comes to the tithe specifically. Some other things about giving above and beyond and doing some other things, obviously that's important as well. And I was talking to Leslie about this. I think it's kind of human nature to want to be remembered for stuff. I mean, everybody wants a legacy or wants to be remembered. Some folks are doing it through wealth, or giving to schools or universities, or they want their name on a building, or they're starting some type of charity that they think is going to last forever. And all those things can be good, but typically they're worldly, and that pursuit is a worldly vision or worldly goal for being remembered. For me, in thinking about giving sacrificially above and beyond, is you're putting your resources into God's work. And so if you're looking for a way to be remembered for something, hey, I'd much rather be remembered for doing God's work than I would be for having my name on a building one day, or things along those lines. So to me, that's what's important about it, is not only are you giving, but are you giving to the right things? Are you using your resources wisely and doing it how God would want you to do
I would
it?
add to that, personally, we have seen that being obedient brings about blessings from God. And if we are disciplined in our lives according to His Word, then we're going to be disciplined in our financial situation as well. And so for us, giving is merely obedience to what God has given us. And I would add to that giving above and beyond for those that have been here, that have been through this new building process. They've been through the ups and downs, and they've seen God's provision through their obedience. But for those of us that are new here, and especially for us that have never been a part of this type of plan or outgiving emphasis, it's really an opportunity for us to stretch our faith and to see, or just allow God the opportunity to show us what He can do with what we're all willing to offer Him, because he can't use what we won't offer. And so that's really the reason to go above and beyond, just for no other reason than to give God an opportunity to use it.
You can kind of see it here. I mean, just in people's faith being played out. I mean, you see the move or the choice to build this building, and hey, following God's direction in that, and then hey, the stuff that happened between moving from the old building to the new, and there's the time there where things were just very flat for a long period of time, and people were concerned about the bills being paid, but all along they were. They ended up being paid. The lights stayed on, the church stayed open. People kept coming, and those people that were here and were faithful to it, I mean, you're kind of reaping that reward now, and you're seeing what God is able to do, hey, in just a short period of time, by this long, lengthy time of, hey, just stay in the course and stay in the plan, and hey, following God's promise. And now you see some of that being played out. And that's really exciting for people like us to see. And we haven't been here for all that time. But it's very exciting to see, because to me it just kind of reaffirms, hey, that if you're faithful in doing what God's asking you to do, that ultimately, hey, the blessing will be there down the road.